How many hearts have you broken with those great big beautiful eyes? Those great big beautiful eyes that tell such beautiful lies.
How many times have you kissed somebody like you kissed me then? I don't.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all ships at sea. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you an important message from the Prepared Mind Network.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. I tell you what, it's still out there, folks. We've got it all. We got from nuclear war on the big side to death by Jim Jones juice deep inside our bodies. Holy cow. I hope you're prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. I may as well start with the Jim Jones juice. Let's just talk about that, get it taken care of, and move on to the other SHTF stuff. It is Monday. It's the afternoon show live. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to ask you to go to thepreparedmind.club. Sign up there for the premium service, $2 a month. Whether you come here live every day or not, it doesn't matter. That will protect us from YouTube's BS and the games they play. Look, we used to have literally 2,000 people on Patreon. And when Patreon canceled us, it crippled us. And YouTube just totally censored us and crippled us. So that's why we did the preparedmind.club, of course, was to give you a store through which to buy things you need from companies. And we just act as like a shopping service, finding you guys the good stuff, but also to make sure we're protected. Now let's move on. Right out the gate, the Pfizer files. I want to thank Darcy T again for keeping us informed. I'm sick of the Jim Jones juice. I'm sick of the COVID crap. I'm sick of the push for the pandemic, the claim that the next thing is going to be avian bird flu that got into the pork, got into cows, gets into humans. It's a bunch of crap. People die all the time from normal stuff. But, folks, we have a lot of people dying suspiciously, like this, otherwise healthy 2-year-old child suffered a stroke. Why would it? When did we ever hear about 2-year-old children suffering from stroke, or 12-year-old or 22-year-old? Never, 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 and never. What is a stroke, by the way? A stroke is something breaking off in the bloodstream, right? A piece of fat, a clot, and it gets stuck in the brain. It's never ending. And I don't want to cover this shit, but I have to cover this shit. I do. A boxer, his name is Sharif Lawal, age 29. He was making his boxing debut, folks. Meaning he's a super athlete, runs every day, cardio, cardio, cardio. And guess what happened? He fell and then collapsed in the ring, dead. 29-year-old. 29. And what did he do? Well, don't worry, folks. If they can't kill you with the Jim Jones juice, guess what? They'll just throw your ass in prison. The pro-life activist. She was also a mother. A mother of 15 kids. Apparently, she didn't figure out what was causing all those kids. Anyways, she got thrown in solitary confinement for 22 days. Oh, yeah, this is a January 6th, a pro-life activist. Been thrown in jail by the Biden administration. You know, I guess Biden and the FBI can attack old women, but they won't fix all of the scumbags in the colleges and the BLM people. They're a bunch of cowardly shitheels, folks. By the way, this mother, this activist, who's been in solitary confinement for 22 days, she's in prison for being a pro-life activist. She has suffered a stroke. If they can't give you a stroke with the Jim Jones juice, they'll lock you up and give you one another way. Doesn't matter. They're going to find a way to screw us all. Anyways, let's continue. Folks, it's your show too. Get your questions down below. I'm going to do my monologue, and then we will get to you. Get to you. Good golly, where are we at? There we are. Okay, Mr. Ooman, finally checking in on Signal. This is really important. I want to go over this again with you. I talked about it a little bit this morning. An Iranian politician is claiming that the terrorist regime that controls Iran now is armed with nuclear bombs. How does that make you feel? Now, for me, I'm wondering, would they try sneaking one of their nuclear bombs over to the United States of America? Well, or would they just shoot one at Israel? We got some interesting questions to ask ourselves. If Iran was to launch a bomb at Israel, what would be the consequences of that? I think it would be very bad, right? What if they brought one to America? Where would they set it off? In Washington, D.C. That would be their target, probably their number one target. At this day and this age, where we're at with everything, I don't know that I would be entirely upset. And I'm not being facetious, and I'm not being threatening, and I'm not being anything. It's just like, you know what? Washington, D.C. has proven itself to be an incredible, destructive, it's a corrupt, confiscatory, money laundering, extortion, racketeering system. I wouldn't mind being left the fuck alone, not taxed and bothered by them. I know, of course, if they were to bomb Washington, D.C., the nation would be plunged into turmoil. The world would be plunged into turmoil. There would be consequences that are unspeakable that could happen. I get it. I really do. I get it. But what do you do, right? What do you do? Well, we just keep on keeping on. It's possible. It can happen. But I have no love for Washington, D.C. I'm sick and tired of those fucking people and everything they say and do. In fact, Kamala Harris, the supposed vice president, decided on stage that she was going to talk some shit. She was at the annual APACS summit, APAICS. I believe that's the Asian Pacific yada, yada, yada gathering. And she was talking about, you know, opportunity and this and that, but she said that she would kick that fucking door down, right? Her language and her violence that she's talking about is at the individual level. And as far as I'm concerned, it speaks to how she would police if her tyrannical demands weren't met. Folks, I can see the future if she is what too much of that. We're seeing it from Biden and is talking about parents as domestic terrorists. The FBI treating protesters as if they're terrorists, while terrorists are being treated like protesters all over the country. It is a dangerous world. I saw that. Yes, man, it froze for some reason. Thought I was being, well, punished. Well, I think we're all being punished, folks. In fact, the military, I think, is continuing to be punished, and most people don't realize that the DOD, the Department of Defense, is continuing to deny military service members both religious and medical exemptions for the Jim Jones juice. Have we or have we not been cataloging and documenting all of the people dying under suspicious circumstances who otherwise wouldn't? And even liberals are coming out saying, well, I have an injury from the vax. So why is it, folks, with the reports and admission by big vax pharma themselves, admitting that their junk causes problems, meaning maims and kills, why is the Department of Defense still demanding that servicemen take that garbage and then denying them a religious or medical exemption, saying, nah, not doing it? I mean, Europe and Japan are now outlawing it, kicking it the fuck out, and then they're looking into what it's doing for real, how it's hurting people. But Washington, D.C., the Department of Defense, the Pentagon, are continuing to push this. It's because they have jurisdiction over the military, and they're showing their heartlessness, their lack of intelligence and understanding of consequences from medically experimenting on servicemen. And that's really what it is, medical experimentation. Everyone probably has heard of Joseph Mengele. Right? Joseph Mengele, he was the Nazi who did medical experiments on people in concentration camps. I was pretty sure that that is supposed to be a very, very bad thing. You're not supposed to do that to people. Medically experiment on them. And those were prisoners in concentration camps. People in the service are voluntarily joining and serving their country. And they're being forced to do this, forced to be experimented on. Fuck you, DOD. And the same goes for the Pentagon, Lloyd Austin, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the president for doing that to our people. In fact, Dr. Peter McCullough has come out. Over the weekend, he exposed the bribery that is going on. That is the payoffs, the payola of doctors, physicians. I read that allegedly they get $250,000 per 100 patients that they get jabbed. Like it's a bonus for them. Did I read that incorrectly? $250,000, or was it, or 225,000 for every 100 people? Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to be wrong on this. But I'm saying look out for the next big scare. And they're telling us what it is. Right? They want this bird or avian flu thing to be a big deal. It's just, folks, they're coming after us. That's what they say. They're telling us straight up. They're coming after us. They got a surprise for you. They got something in mind for you. And they're not going to stop, and they're not going to go away. They're not going to give up. They're not going to quit. Just like all the college freaks and idiots. Just like the Hamas terrorists. Thank you, Uman. Now, this story is also very frustrating, very upsetting. I'm going to call this a manic Monday. It's a fucking depressing Monday. In Minnesota, folks, Minnesota. That's how the Swedish immigrants, that's what they called it when they moved there. I wonder what all of the Hamas lovers, the Middle Eastern terrorist types that are living in Minnesota, I wonder how they say it. I bet they don't even call it Minnesota. I bet they call it Mecca soda. Anyways, a 9-year-old child, a little Christian child, was at school in the playground. And this little girl, 9-year-old girl, was attacked. She was viciously beaten by other kids. You want to know why? Because she wasn't Muslim. Folks, these Hamas children are mimicking their Hamas parents in America. You and I need to beware of these people. There are great people everywhere of all colors and faiths and all that shit. But it's the evil fuckers. So how do you protect yourself against them? right? Well, let's just say I'm walking down the street on the right side, and I see 5 Middle Eastern people. Should I continue to walk down the street right at these men and just hope that they're nice guys and that they don't fuck with me, that they don't say some shit, that they don't shove me, that they don't fucking stab me and cut my head off? Right? Odds are they won't. Or should I cross the street to the left side of the street and continue walking just to avoid the potential? You see, that's the position we're all being put in, whether it's dealing with these Middle Eastern people, the fucking BLM assholes, or the government themselves. It's better to just avoid it altogether because we don't know when they're going to fuck with us. Now, the government can fuck with you anytime. But literally, what do? If you cross the street, are you a racist? Are you a xenophobe or a Islamophobe? No, I'm a fucking cautious person who is intelligently looking into a situation, seeing the potential and realizing I should avoid it. Right? If it's just one person, 2 people, not such a big deal. If they're carrying a fucking baseball bat, if they're dressed in shit clothes, if they have seedy looks, if they don't shave their beards, if they're wearing green fucking headbands, should I walk to the other side of the street? How do you know until it's too fucking late? This little girl, 9-year-old girl in Minnesota at school, a public school, on the playground. Do you think she had an inkling of the idea that I have or you have, or the experience that you or I have? This is a 9-year-old girl. Does she have the experience in life to understand a threatening situation? No, none of those things. Kids are supposed to be innocent. This little girl, her innocence got smashed. How do you think these kids learned to do what they do and say what they say and think what they think? Because they listen to their parents. They listen to their family. 9-year-old jihadi kids, they're listening to their jihadi parents and uncles and aunts talking shit all day and all night, full of hatred. And so they attack a white 9-year-old girl and beat the living shit out of her. 9-year-old girl, which means she was getting beaten by 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds. Even in America, folks, this shit is coming. Beware and be prepared. It's now time to start talking to our kids and say, hey, if someone's treating you mean, don't waste any time. You tell me, Dad, or Mom, as it were, if that's you. You tell them to talk to you, or Grandma or Grandpa, and let us know so we can talk to the teachers. Last thing you want is your child or grandchild talking to a fucking teacher who's got green, blue, red, orange, or pink hair, who blow it off like, you little racist white person, how dare you? No, they're threatening me. They're saying they're going to beat me up. Folks, I had that shit happen in school, not with terrorists, but just other kids who wanted to beat the shit out of me. They're like, we're going to beat the fuck out of you. I'm like, I'm outnumbered here. I need some help. I need some backup. And you end up getting clobbered and beaten. But there's a difference between beating a young man and beating a 9-year-old girl. Once again, they're fucking terrorists and they're cowards. So what are they doing? They're picking on someone who is defenseless and incapable of defending themselves. And does that or does that not describe the MO of terrorists? They don't attack the military. They won't even attack the police. They attack civilians. And they attack civilians when they're outnumbered, cornered, unarmed. And they sneak attack. They don't say, hey, by the way, we're going to show up today at 2 o'clock in the afternoon at the shopping mall with a bunch of vest bombs, and we're going to blow ourselves to pieces. So it's up to you whether you want to shop or not. No, they don't give anyone any warning. They just show up and victimize the fuck out of unarmed people who cannot defend themselves. So these little punks, these little savages in Minnesota, they shouldn't just be beaten by their own parents, because that's not going to happen. They shouldn't be suspended by the school. Yeah, that's not going to happen. They should be expelled. And they should be charged with juvenile crimes and start a juvenile criminal record on them. It's not the same world that you and I grew up in where, kids would make mistakes and kids fight. This is a religious attack by outnumbering a child, a girl. And we're seeing women and girls, folks, young girls, getting attacked and raped and beaten and mauled and murdered around our country now. Punched in the fucking face, dragged by a belt around the neck, pushed onto train tracks, carjacked, home invasion, name it. It's happening, and the liberals don't give a fuck. They think it's cute. I think it's fucking awful. But that's who these people are, folks. That's who they are. Thank you, Mr. Chin Music, for updating me again on the mayor of New York City. He is a sack of absolute shit. And I'm going to finish up the monologue section, and we'll get right to you guys by talking about an idiot actress. And her name is Jennifer Lawrence. And she was speaking at the GLAAD Awards, GLAAD. Remember when being happy and glad was gay? Oh, the GLAAD Awards are the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation. Well, at the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Defamation Award ceremony, Jennifer Lawrence, actress and idiot, said that Mike Pence is gay. Not that I give a fuck about Mike Pence. He's a sack of traitorous shit. But she went on to not only call him gay, but she says he has a weird penis. Actually, she said dick. But the headline said penis. How would she know? How would she know? Right? So GLAAD, though, is the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation. It seems to me that gays and lesbians and fruitards of all types tend to commit defamation against us, calling us normies and straights and cisgendered people and homophobes and xenophobes. They defame us all the time. Defamation. Talk shit. Make fun of. All day and all night. Probably while they're giving themselves and each other monkeypox as well. As far as I'm concerned, they deserve to be criticized and made fun of. After all, they are the monkeypox butt pirates, depends-wearing short shitters. That's who they are. But they don't like that we defame them. While that's at a fucking award hosted by the Gay Anti-Defamation League, essentially is what they're claiming they are, they defame others and attack others. This is typical left-wing, socialist, hypocritical chicken shit action. And in fact, right before I got home, ran down into the bunker, ran to the studio, a friend of mine was telling me. She put up a picture on Facebook. This is what she told me she did. Listen to this shit. It showed a picture of a news anchor and the weather bunny. And then 5 years later, the news anchor and the weather bunny. And in that 3 or 5 year time, each of them put on a substantial amount of weight. Now, in the first two pictures, they were no lightweight, string bean, get knocked over by a puff of wind type of ladies. They were a little bit robust to start. But the couple years later, it looked like they really put on some weight. And I think the caption of the meme was, "This is what happens when they put a Taco Bell or an In-N-Out burger too close to your work." Now, a friend of hers who's an idiot, stupid-ass, socialist, liberal, virtue-signaling piece of shit, ding-dong, responded to my friend and said, and this is Facebook business, so you have to be nice. But this other idiot said, oh, we're fat-shaming women now? And she had to respond and say, no. What I'm saying is that if I had an In-N-Out burger too close to my work, I would be putting on weight too, because everybody knows fast food is not healthy and it can lead to overweight condition. She had to explain it to the fucking retarded liberal who wanted to virtue signal and attack her. So again, just like this Jennifer Lawrence idiot, all they do is attack other people and then shame people for, well, how dare you attack us? The fruitcakes, the perverts, the child groomers, right? The disease bags, right? What you're a no vax guy, John. So you're a disease bag. No, I'm not. I'm a healthy guy. But all the people coming across the southern border, the DOD, the Department of Defense, wants all servicemen to get the Jim Jones juice, but everyone coming across the border is just fine. Take our poisonous shit or we're going to kick you out. But let all those fucking people, and millions of them, into the country. Let's put them on buses, put them on planes, put them on trains. So they're mixing with the population. And so now there are outbreaks, folks, of common diseases that were basically eradicated here in America, like tuberculosis. Yay, everyone's favorite lung disease, tuberculosis. They have really, folks, let us know that they hate us. They don't care what we say. They don't care what we believe. All they want to do is destroy us. Even on the independent, personal, little level, even in a business environment, the liberals can't help but fucking attack and shit on people and virtue signal how cool and nice they are, and then put words in people's mouth. You know, I can't stand these fucking idiots. I've had it with their shit. I have. Because of what they're doing, not only are 9-year-old girls being killed in Minnesota, being viciously beaten. Get this. A previously, already before, happened in the past, been caught, an illegal alien who's already been thrown out of the fucking country, came back in. And guess what this cocksucker did in Texas? Killed a 3-month-old infant. Why? Why would an illegal sneak across the border in Texas and kill a 3-month-old infant? Why do that? The country is getting sick and tired of this shit. I told my friend, stop being fucking nice. I know you've got to be nice in business. Answer their bullshit, but quit being fucking nice to them. Right? The world is getting sick of this shit. We're all getting sick of their virtue signaling crap. And as soon as it's thrown back on their fucking face, their hypocrisy, you should ride them into the ground like a fucking bull. In fact, there's a friend that I know. His name is John also. He is a very big, tall, loud, obnoxious dude, and I love him because he tells it like it is in business and doesn't give a fuck. It's time to quit. We need to go after schools, go after colleges, everything. Get this, folks. At UNC Chapel Hill, not a strong bastion of conservatism, but they decided, well, the Board of Trustees decided to abolish their diversity, equity, and inclusion funding. No more, right? Because this is what the trustees said. Well, the American flag incident on campus solved it. Enough of this shit, right? When the fraternity saved the flag, right, from being destroyed, this diversity, equity, and inclusion funding, all it's doing is bringing in hatred of America, hatred of normal behavior, normal thinking, critical thinking, intelligent thinking, common sense. This is where we're at, folks. Are you prepared for it to get worse? Because it is. If it wasn't getting worse, we would have evidence that it's not getting worse. But it is, folks. It's getting worse. All right, it's going to be your turn. It's now time for the Inner Circle. Woo! It is Monday. Last night we had a great Sunday Night Live, a Mother's Day special. It was good. I hope all you mothers out there had a nice day and maybe got breakfast in bed or a good dinner, whatever, right? Hope you're fine. America, folks, we still have our American loves and stuff, but these people out here want to destroy it. What I want to know is what's on your mind now. I put out the things that got to me today that pissed me off, that made me think, that said, hey, shit has hit the fan. We need to get prepared. What's on your mind? What do you got? Mr. Uman, who is going to be up first? Then we've got Chin Music stepping in. Chin Music stepping in. Let's see. Got all kinds of stuff going on here. Woo! Okay. The end of a day on a Monday, everyone goes back to work and give everything to John to fix. Chin says, Sean Burrows, a former San Diego Padre, dropped dead. He was coaching his son's team the other day. He was old as fuck, age 44. No, folks, 44 isn't old as fuck. So, former San Diego Padre dropped dead. Okay, at age 44, was Sean Burrows in top physical condition? No. Baseball players are not known for taking steroids, something that could cause serious heart conditions. Those days were over. Remember the Mark McGwire, Jose Canseco, Sammy Sosa, right? Home run slugging contest, Barry Bonds. That was a long time ago since I gave a shit enough to learn their fucking names and what they were up to. Yeah, they were taking some steroids to get stronger. And folks, it's funny. They're still not. Anyways, doesn't matter. Sean Burrows, age 44, 10 years younger than me. It used to be that you could die of a heart attack in your 40s, and you needed to be careful. You need to start thinking about your health in your 40s and then your 50s and your 60s, and heart attacks are common. Well, that was 30 or 40 years ago. Today, right, we're much more heart healthy conscious. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't lots of hamburgers and other things out there that you could really have a poor diet, but I'm sure Sean Burrows, as a former professional baseball player, I'm sure he could afford to have a decent, healthy diet, right? It used to be that people, if they died in their 40s, you would say, lived a good, long life, a nice, healthy life. 200 years ago, you bet, to live into your 40s and, phew, you did good, right? 50s and 60s, that was really good. Unheard of to live into the 70s and 80s, very, very rare. In fact, not even 100 years ago, when they first came out with Social Security, the retirement age was 62. Folks, the average person didn't live to 62, even in the 1930s. They didn't live to 62. So it was like, hey, if I get to live long enough, I might just get a couple of years of money. I got to pay into my whole fucking life, right? Now people are living into their 70s, their 80s, their 90s. It's not uncommon. And those were the people that ate bacon at every meal. Didn't care about their health. Our parents, right? My mother is in her 70s. Father's in his 70s. And they lived a rough life and a shitty diet. And why would Sean Burrows kick the bucket at 44? Just take a wild fucking guess, right? Take a wild guess, Chin. Lets me know that I need to stay in good shape and keep exercising. Which I did yesterday. Lots of paddling and kicking of the feet, and just needed to outswim my friends to make sure the alligators didn't get me. Yep, What a world. Just, I remember in the early 20-teens hearing that we need to get a checkup once a year at least and have blood work done, make sure your thyroid's good and your cholesterol's fine, your blood pressure's low. And now they don't give a fuck. They just want to kill us. All right, man, where are we going next, man? Let's keep this parade of joy going. Well, man's bringing up a goodie. He's bringing up the Second Amendment. He says there was an attempted church shooting in Louisiana yesterday. The suspect, who was armed with a rifle, was 16 years old. I wonder if this 16-year-old suspect, who apparently was thwarted by the churchgoers, I wonder if they had some left-wing thoughts in their head. Maybe some transgender, gay thoughts in their head that they need to go kill churchgoers. Anyways, Uman says there's no further info, just referred to him as him. Was it a male? Was it a fruitcake? The omission, or shall I say, the absence of further description these days speaks volumes. Speaks volumes. They don't like to put pictures. Oh, well, this is a 16-year-old suspect. Well, maybe we should know who this fucking idiot was, this 16-year-old, so that if we live in Louisiana, we know who the kid is, what part of the city they're in, where they go to school, who their friends are. Doesn't that make sense that the police would do that and make sure that people in the community were safe? You see, it used to be about keeping people safe. Now it's, we need to protect the identity of these trans fruitcakes or these LGBTQI or these Democrats. We need to protect their identity and their location and their address. We need to protect a trans rapist who raped a girl in school in Virginia. Remember that? The school board is hiding it. The school is hiding it. Fucking parents are like, who was this? What did he do? Right? Because they want to know. They need to protect their kids. No. We need to protect not the victims, not the potential victims, but the fucking perpetrators of crime. This 16-year-old sack of shit went to church with a rifle to kill people. And I'm really glad that the churchgoers have read the New Testament passage that says, sell your cloak and buy a sword. And that the Savior said, I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. Yeah, that's the Jesus I've heard of. Act ye like men. In other words, stop being bitches. I wouldn't be surprised, Uman, if it's another fruitcake. In fact, I would be shocked if it wasn't a fruitcake or an aspiring fruitcake. I wonder if the 16-year-old was doing the weenie tuck and is going to accuse the church or some churchgoers of victimizing him or making him feel bad. Remember, all they have to do is believe that you don't like them or you have said something in your life, and they can be triggered by it and therefore react in a very violent manner. They think that that is justified. Right? If you are destroying the earth with your gas burning car, then you have created, you're trying to kill those leftists, and they think that they have a right to block you in traffic. So cars sit there in traffic, idling, burning gas and not going anywhere, creating even more pollution, more waste. Right? And they're good with that. But they don't realize that everyone's fucking pissed at them and tired of their shit. They're not going to be like, I'm glad you blocked the road for an hour, stopped me from getting to my appointments, my job. I'm really glad that you inconvenienced the fuck out of me. I think I want to join your cause. I think I'm going to donate my hard-earned money to you, you bunch of fucking ding-dongs, because you did all you could to show me how dedicated you are to fucking with people because you feel threatened by an automobile and gasoline. That's who we got. They're all fruitcakes, folks. All of them. Okay, Mr. Uman, that was fun. Get your thoughts below. Your thoughts, ideas, concepts. What happened last week? What's coming up this coming week? Are all of you happy or disappointed that we didn't get cooked like a chicken in a microwave by the CME, the coronal mass ejection? They're continuing to tell us we're going to die from all kinds of crap. Solar flares, earthquakes, bird flu. The number one threat that I keep seeing out there are Democrats and socialists and communists. Those are the people that are killing us. And terrorists, right? From flying planes into buildings to beating up your granddaughter at school. For everywhere in between. They're the threat. Fruitcakes bringing guns to churches and killing children and adults. How many church attacks have we seen? Down in Texas, over in Louisiana, up in Tennessee. I'm sure it's far more, shall we say, widespread and pernicious than anyone can imagine. And here on the Prepared Mind channel, we get just a few news headlines here about fruitcakes trying to kill us, and just a little bit of information here about hate crimes against people because they're not Muslim. And over here, we get just a few stories about people dying from the Jim Jones juice. And then over here, we hear, well, plenty about the government threatening us and our liberties. You betcha. Hey, folks, it's 2024. It's election year. Trump is doing some amazing shit, and the left are losing their minds. I'm enjoying the shit out of that, and I hope you are too. But they really are. They're losing their shit. The guy had the largest rally in New Jersey. They're trying to silence him, gag him in court, tell him he can't campaign, can't go to his son's graduation. That's the left. They can't win in the arena of ideas. So they're going to use, folks, the destruction of censorship and silencing opposition. They're going to threaten us with jail time if you want to speak up publicly, while allowing left-wing retards, right, all manner of lawless permission to screw with people's lives. Here we go. Mr. Uman, who is next? And it is Badass Diving Frog. He says, Trudeau, or however you spell this fucker's name, is trying to implement a rat on your neighbors program. First off, Trudeau in Canada, he's the prime minister. He also looks 99% like he is Fidel Castro's love child. He is the bastard child of Castro, Fidel Castro, communist leader and communist murderer of Cuba, who's been a communist murderous leader from the 1960s until he died a few years back. Anyways, Trudeau, just like him. Just like him. You want to stand up, Trudeau? You want to protest against Trudeau? He'll freeze your bank account. He'll have you get fired, lose your job, destroy your life. He's a fucking turd. He's a sack of shit. But he is implementing a snitch. Right? Be a bitch and snitch on your neighbor. Right? See something, say something. Remember that shit when Obama did that with us? We need to keep an eye out for the enemy. The enemy is here, folks. The enemy is here, and they're telling their children to beat up non-Muslim children. The enemy is here, and they're raping and beating women on the streets. The enemy is here, and they're pretending to be women by doing a weenie tuck in public, but wagging their weenies in the faces of girls in locker rooms, and then saying, "I'm just a girl. I'm a girl." No, you're not. They're destructive, evil fuckheads. Now, Badass Diving Frog continues. He says, it's coming here, and YouTube is really pissing me off today. Yeah, you bet. You bet. It's coming to America, this shit rat snitch on your neighbor program. What do you think the January 6th protest consequences was about? It was about emboldening Democrats to snitch on their neighbors and about emboldening them to attack people in social media and go, yeah, you're bad, right? And start accusing people of being, well, hate-filled and using hate speech and defamation against the fruitcakes. Yeah, they deserve it. There used to be this thing called the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, that was out there to protect Jews from anti-Semitic thoughts and behavior and speech. The ADL. Where the fuck is the ADL now with pro-Palestinian terrorists in America threatening Israelis and Jews and beating them up and denying them access to public university where they paid their tuition? Where's the ADL? Where's the Southern Poverty Law Center? They're fucking hypocrites and liars. Their goal, folks, is not to protect Jews. Their goal is to censor and silence and punish people who oppose the left-wing propaganda and control mechanisms that are in place. Thank you, Mr. Badass Diving Frog. Appreciate that. Remember, folks, you guys get the second half of the show, so get your questions and comments down below. And Ooman will put them up on the screen, and we'll make you famous. And it's great because I love these comments, thoughts, questions, observations. It's not just me talking shit about people I've met and things I've read. It's everybody having a chance to share what they're experiencing in life and why, ultimately, why we need to be prepared for what's coming. Mr. Ooman, what shall we discuss next? Who is up? And it is Chin Music. Oh, shit. Here we go. Trump. Trump made a joke about Hannibal Lecter at his speech yesterday. The crowd loved it. True. And the mainstream media, the MSLSD, lost their shit because he was making a joke. He was being facetious, which is a very fancy way of saying he's being a smartass. And he was talking about Hannibal Lecter, right? Being a very good person. Yeah, he's a great guy, isn't he? I mean, if I started talking about this character from a novel, Hannibal Lecter, Hannibal the Cannibal, you know, and Trump was making fun of it in the movie, and the mainstream media thought he was actually praising a mass murdering cannibal. There's the difference, folks, in the way the mind works in politics. It's not just, do you believe in more social spending or less? It's not that. It's not just about, are you accepting of other people, nations, cultures, religions, as long as they're accepting of you? Or are you like one of these left-wing idiots that rejects everything good about our culture and accepts everything bad about the other and allows it? See, there's the disconnect, the gulf between the two thoughts, thinking patterns is monumentally impossible to bring back together. They can't even understand when Trump is making a joke. I thought it was fucking hilarious. His comments on illegal immigrants, aka criminal alien invaders, was fine. But if you try and talk to a left-wing idiot, try it. Their hypocrisy is astounding. Their ignorance is off the charts. Their thoughts are incomprehensibly vague and inane. They're moronic. And there's no fixing it. There's no fixing it. They're so stupid that if they're gay, they think they can say, we're gays for Palestine, as if the Palestinian and Hamas types are going to accept them and love them. They're dumb enough to believe that the terrorists are going to love them. That's how dumb they are. They don't realize that as soon as they have some sort of power and control, some sort of insulation from law enforcement, they would take these fruitcakes for Palestine and throw them off a fucking building, or drag them by the neck with the rope behind the vehicle, and then string them up in a tree and beat them like a fucking piñata. Piñata, piñata. That's what they would do to them. But the left-wing American idiots think that they're done. Now get this. Remember, if you wear blackface as a white human being, you are accused of being a racist, of trying to appropriate their identity. Right? Just like I remember years ago, this white woman was wearing an Asian-inspired, Asian fashion silk dress. She was told she was appropriating their culture. Well, it was fascinating over the weekend. These college students are managing to go back out, and they ask very direct, intelligent questions of these fucking idiots. Right? They point out using a type of thinking that the left can't understand. They were standing there interviewing a white person who was wearing kefefaya, whatever the fuck their headdress is, right? Where it wraps around their head and then it covers their face. It used to be for sandstorms, but now it's used to hide your identity so you can commit acts of terror. Let's see. No one in this is wearing one. But it's when they wear the thing around their fucking head and then pull it across their face. He goes, "Hey, you're a white person. You're not Arab. You're not Middle Eastern. You're not Palestinian. You're white." And then he started getting everyone's attention. This person's appropriating Middle Eastern culture, right? And the idiot didn't understand. They didn't see the hypocrisy in their ignorance and stupidity. They didn't see it. Because they think it's fine for them and fuck everyone else. Anyways, thank you, Chin Music, for pointing out the humorous side. Now, it's Chin Music again. Jonathan Greenblatt of the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL, is an America-hating scumbag, according to Chin Music. He says they haven't stood up for Jewish college students. They are painted into a corner. Well, if they're the ADL and they're supposed to be fighting anti-Semitism, and they're not speaking publicly, they're not on mainstream media, they're not condemning these pro-terrorists, terrorist-supporting, Hamas-loving, anti-American, American-hating pieces of shit. If they're not opposing them, then yeah, what are they doing? Remember, silence is violence. So the ADL is committing an act of violence against Jews, Israelis, the very people they're supposed to be protecting, supposedly. They raise money for the ADL. They go to, right, the ADL, it doesn't make cars or TVs. They don't make anything of use. They're a bunch of fucking lawyers. So they rely on other people to give them money. Why would anyone want to give them money to protect Jews when they're not protecting Jews? When in fact they're doing everything they can to encourage and incite terrorism coming from these Hamas students. Very interesting. Very nice. Thank you, Chin Music, for bringing Jonathan Greenblatt out of his closet so he can be publicly ridiculed for doing abso-fucking-lutely nothing. All right, Mr. Uman, what do we have next? And it's Badass Diving Frog. You guys are very loud today. He says, according to a liberal doctor, if you fart really hard in bed, you can kill bed bugs. What's next? Fart on the operating table to sterilize the room? Where the fuck did this come from? Why is this on here? Well, it's because you felt it was important, man. You felt it was important. It's part of the SHTF. Okay, doctors used to be worshipped almost like gods. They could save a person's life. They could look at somebody and tell what was wrong with them by observing them, asking a few questions, checking their pulse. Now, doctors will look at you, check your heart with a stethoscope and go, you need some expensive drugs so I can pay for my retirement and my kids' education and my brand new BMW 6 Series. That's what they do. That's a fucking doctor for you today. It's unbelievable. They are no longer the hyper intelligentsia, super smart people. They ruin that, especially since the 2020 SHTF kickoff of the COVID lockdowns. Doctors should have come out in public right away, wearing their little white lab coats, put a stethoscope around their fucking neck, walk down the street with no mask and a sign that says, don't be afraid, it's just a cold. That would have saved more lives, saved more money, helped more businesses. That's how you should have helped people. Instead, they sat in their offices and said, oh, okay, I'll take a shit pile of money for injecting the fuck out of everybody with an experimental serum that causes, well, all manner of, well, cardiac, pulmonary, and neurological disorders. Thanks, doctors. Unbelievable. The sham goes on, folks. We're being fleeced by doctors, wannabe scientists, politicians, bankers, all of them. We're being fleeced by them. All right, Mr. Uman, who's up next? This should be the last question. We've got just a few minutes, and I've got an itch in my ear. I got someone whispering in my ear some stuff. It's Uman. He says, Mount Ibu in Indonesia had a big eruption today, sending plumes of smoke, ash, and, of course, billions of tons of carbon dioxide. That's right, folks. That's right. Uman reports that earthquakes indicate possible future or further eruptions. When a volcano explodes, there are possible future and further eruptions. Because if a volcano can blow up once, it can blow up more than once. Okay, anyways, thank you for that. But hey, literally, the amount of chemicals that are spewed into the air by a volcano, I mean, it's not a small thing. If you've ever seen the destruction that a creek that is flooding can do, imagine the destruction, right, of all the snow coming off of a mountain. Now, I know that in Indonesia, it's a warm area, and I'm sure Mount Ibu does not have a bunch of snow on it. But if you've ever been to a rock pit or a rock quarry, you'll see that there's a hole in the ground. Sometimes you'll see that one time there was a hill or a knob or a small mountain right there. And now it's being carved into, and it takes decades and decades and decades of mining whatever this area had. Limestone or granite, rock to make into gravel, to build all the roads around that mine for hundreds of miles. But when a volcano explodes, folks, it does decades of work to the equivalent of 100 gravel pits, all in one shot. And they put all of that in the air, not down for nice, cozy roads. In other words, the amount of pollution created by Mount Ibu today, I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't wipe out an entire decade of CO2 savings and reductions, which, yeah, we need to solve the volcano problem. Volcano equals climate crisis. How do we stop a volcano? I'm thinking maybe we get industrial-sized vats of super glue and cover volcanoes in super glue to hold them shut. Can you imagine, folks, the billions and billions of cubic feet of rock and dust kicked into the air, full of sulfur, toxic sulfur, full of chlorine, toxic chlorine, full of carbon dioxide, plant fertilizer, spewed into the air. We must eradicate volcanoes. Folks, get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. I'll see you tomorrow. 0 dark 30.
Buckle up, boys and girls, because class is starting and it's going to kick your ass. This is The Prepared Mind.